Okay, so it is the 10th and 11th of this week, and we spent yesterday looking at the introductory paragraph of my student, the Saxton essay. Um, and she obviously agrees that adversity needs to happen in order for growth to happen. So, in her second introductory, or excuse me, in her first body paragraph, okay, the first paragraph where she starts to give evidence of her thesis, she says adversity is the only way growth can happen. Take the majestic redwood trees. To grow, they have to oppose gravity, and by doing so, they reach great heights and are complex organisms. Slime mold doesn't choose to oppose anything and only grows in small patches on the ground. It is unable to grow high and strong and is stuck being a simple organism unable to do much else than divide cells and break down already dead organisms. Its lack of opposition stunts its ability to become more complex. Growth makes people more complex, and growth cannot happen without hardship. Okay, so the first thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to once again reiterate that she took words that are in the prompt and she spread them all throughout body paragraph one. It is so important to make sure that your grader understands that you are on topic, because the minute you go off topic, that makes your essay pretty much a failure. So she has the word adversity, growth, oppose, grows, opposition, hardship. All of those words are connected to the words in the prompt. Does adversity help develop a person's character? Okay, the very next thing that we're going to look at is this. Adversity is the only way that growth can happen. That is her topic sentence. Okay, she doesn't say, I believe, in my opinion, adversity is the only way. We know. You don't have to put that stuff in there. She just comes out and says it with conviction. Adversity is the only way growth can happen. And then her evidence is the redwood trees. And then what she does is she shows that, hey, the redwood trees have adversity and they grow. Slime mold has no adversity and it doesn't grow. It stays small and it's a simple organism. And then at the very bottom, she sums up her statement by reiterating her point. Growth makes people more complex, and growth cannot happen without hardship. Okay, so once again, she repeats her thesis. Okay, in the blue boxes, we have high level vocabulary words or strong imagery words that could have been simpler words. So we have majestic, oppose, complex organisms, lack of opposition, stunts, complex, hardship. Okay, she could have used different words. Take the big redwood trees. They have to go against gravity, and they are not simple things. It's lack of opposition. She could have said the fact that nothing works against it keeps it from being complex or a difficult or a multifaceted organism. Growth makes people more complex. Okay, she could have said complicated or different. And growth cannot happen without hardship. Okay, and she could have said problems. She could have said tough things, but instead she stuck with these words, and that's always commendable. Okay, so let's take a look at body paragraph one. There's a semicolon there. It's always good to use different types of punctuation to show the grader that you know how to use punctuation appropriately. And then I have the errors. Okay, this shows once again that being perfect is not the point of writing your essays. It's about making a good argument and giving the grader something to read that's different. She put adversity in the only way growth. So, of course, we know that she meant is. There's a comma that is missing. She says they have to oppose gravity, and by doing so, comma, they reach great heights. She left out a comma. She used then again, THEN instead of THAN. And then she spelled already with two L's. Okay. So, once again, we see the errors and we're not pointing out these errors to show that she's imperfect. She is close to perfect, I will say, with all honesty. But the errors show that it's not about being perfect, it's about the point of your essay. Okay, in body paragraph 2, she decides to use Albert Einstein as her evidence. So, evidence number 2 is the evidence. The adversity of the war that drove him from his homeland to America helped push him to discovering some of the biggest things in the history of man. Um, okay, this is real important because this is evidence. She's using something that's academic. She's not referring to a Disney movie or a pop culture figure. She's talking about Albert Einstein. She gives a little history on Albert Einstein, and she explains why he is such an important person and why he did such amazing things because he faced adversity. And then the other thing that I want to point out is down here at the bottom where it's green. And she says, while I'm sure that his contributions to science still would have been amazing, if not for the adversity of the war, he probably wouldn't have been pushed to astronomical heights. So, what she did is she pretty much assumed that somebody's going to say, oh, well, I mean, whether Albert Einstein was pushed from his homeland from the war or not, he still would have been amazing. Yeah, that's absolutely true. And you know what? She's going to go ahead and acknowledge that first. Yeah, his contributions to science would have still been amazing even if there wasn't a war. But the fact that he had that adversity pushing against him, that probably made him better than he would have been. And that is her point. So again, she has a second counter argument here. Awesome. Okay, so the last thing that I want to show you is this, okay? I want you to look for these words: drove, push, biggest things, and amazing. And I want you to rewrite those sentences, but I want you to use your phones to find synonyms to use in the place of these words. I'm not a fan of the word things being in essays, and I'm really not a fan of the word big. So, of course, we want to look for that. It helped push him to discovering some of the biggest things. Let's find a different word for push. The war that drove him from his homeland. Let's see if we can find another word instead of drove. She uses amazing a couple of times in this essay, so this is sort of an overuse of amazing. What we want to do is let's look up amazing and let's find some synonyms for amazing and see if something would fit better. Okay, so anyway, that's what we're going to do on Wednesday and Thursday after you take your stems and idioms quiz. And then when we meet next week, we're going to look at the conclusion of this essay, and then we'll just completely rewrite it and make it better than it was. Okay. I appreciate you guys, and I will talk to you guys soon.